to Cycles of Hope Bicycle Shop. Today we're going to have an episode of Cyclopedia, how to replace a rear derailleur. Also we'll discuss how to adjust the derailleur and maintain the derailleur for riding. Alright you guys, stay tuned. Okay you guys, here's the tools you're going to need to use in order to replace a rear derailleur. You'll need a Phillips head screwdriver. You'll need ratchets with a 15 millimeter socket and a 9 millimeter socket. You'll need a chain pulling tool, a set of lineman's pliers, and a small set of channel locks. Alright you guys, here's the drivetrain of this Schwinn Gateway road bicycle cruiser. And it's a 7-speed, and it does not have a front derailleur, but it does have a rear derailleur. And the reason why we're having to replace it is because the clamping mechanism, which was right here, shredded off. It sheared off, and this derailleur is no longer usable. So we'll salvage what pieces we can from this derailleur and replace it with a new one. Okay, the first step to replacing a rear derailleur is to take off the chain. And you take off the chain with this chain pulling tool. And it just pushes out the pin, and then we can get the chain off. Make sure when you take the chain off that you take a pin off of a link on the left side. And that way that pin does not have to go through the derailleur. The pin will stay on top, and then the part of the chain will go through the derailleur that does not have the pin on it. So we'll go ahead and take out this pin right here. And when you're taking this pin out of the link, make sure you don't push it all the way out. And if you leave the pin there, you can reuse it without having to use a master link. So just get it to where it just barely comes out, and then what you'll do is you'll just kind of twist the chain and it'll pop off. And you can see the pin is on the left side. It's over here on this side. And that way we can easily work the chain through the old derailleur and get the chain out. So leave the chain where it's at. Go ahead and start working the chain out of the derailleur. Just pull it out. And okay, it's out of the derailleur. Next step is to remove the wheel. To remove the wheel, you're going to have to release the brakes and also take off the axle nuts to get the wheel off. So first we'll release the brakes, pull the two calipers together as tight as they go. This little nipple that's on the noodle, just pull it out of the device that holds it in place. Right, there we go. So now I've got the nipple of the noodle outside of the device, and then just open the brakes up, just like that. All right, the next step is to loosen the axle nut on both sides of the wheel and take the wheel from the dropouts of the stays in the rear. So we'll go ahead and loosen up the nuts with a 15 millimeter socket. Usually they're 15, sometimes they're 14, sometimes they're 16. The majority of these axle nuts are 15 millimeter. So we'll loosen that one up, loosen the other side up as well. And then we'll just pull the wheel out of the way, out of the dropouts. There we go. And the wheel has been removed. All right, the next step of the process is to remove the old derailleur from the frame, which is held on by a clamp. This clamp can be removed with a 9 millimeter socket or a Phillips head screwdriver. So let's take off the clamp. And then the old derailleur can come off. The next step is to install the new rear derailleur. And as you can see, this was the part that was broken on the other derailleur. The clamping mechanism was sheared off. So this one is the exact same model derailleur, and we're going to go ahead and replace it with this one. You'll just put the bolt through the hole on the derailleur, and you'll go ahead and screw this on to the back side. Just a little bit, just get the thread started. As you can see, we can just slide this piece in with the bolt, and the clamp slides into this part right here on the dropouts of the frame, and then just line up the holes to where the axle can fit in the groove right here, and then go ahead and tighten that up. Okay, here's the derailleur, and we just clamped it back on to the dropouts of the frame with a bolt. And on the other side is a clamp that clamps on to the dropouts of the frame. So that's how it connects. And then the axle will go into the groove. So now the next step is to go ahead and reinstall the wheel. Just slide it into the grooves of the knockouts of the frame. It should go right in. All right, when replacing the tire, just make sure your tire lines up center with your seat stays. And that way, it won't rub the brake and it won't rub the frame. Once you get it centered, tighten up the axle nuts to fully mount the wheel onto the frame. All right, so now that you got your wheel centered up, tighten up your axle nuts. Okay, the next step, reinstall the chain through the derailleur. You're going to take the chain, go around the first cog of the freewheel or cassette, and then feed it through this cog first of the derailleur. It'll wrap around and then go through this metal clip, goes underneath that clip or that retention clip, and then it'll go around the back side up through that retention clip or guard, whatever you want to call it, and then go back over this top cog and then connect to the chain that's on the front sprocket. Okay, the first step is to go through the cog here in the derailleur, this bottom cog, and get it to feed it through. Feed it through like this. Pull your extra slack out. Whatever slack you got, go ahead and pull it out. And then what you're going to do is go over through this top guard here on the top of the derailleur. Stick it through there. Pull your slack. The chain has been routed successfully through the derailleur. Now we got to reattach the chain to the pin of the other link that's coming from the front sprocket, and then we can attach the gear cable to the derailleur and then adjust it. Okay, so we'll attach the chain back together, the pin and the link. Just slide those in together like that. Next, take your small pair of channel locks and squeeze the pin together, just like that. And then use your chain pulling tool to push the pin in the rest of the way. And as you can see, the pin is going all the way through the link, and it's coming out on this other side. And it's out on this side as well. And that'll work. I'm gonna go ahead and get this chain over the sprocket in the front. All right. Now the chain and the drivetrain system of the bicycle is working accordingly. The last thing we need to do is go ahead and mount the gear cable to the derailleur, and that way we can shift gears on the rear. feed it into the barrel adjuster of the derailleur, and then insert the ferrule end cap into the barrel adjuster. The next step is to pull tight on the wire using a pair of clines or pliers of some kind, and then tighten it up. Tighten the clamp up. And it's a number 9 that's used to tighten this clamp up. After clamping on the gear cable to the derailleur, we may need to make some adjustments to the set screws on the derailleur itself so that it moves laterally at the right amount. Not too much, not too little. We want to be able to shift through all the gears on the derailleur and in the drivetrain as we can, which this is a 7-speed, but we don't want the chain to come off the freewheel on the highest gear or the lowest gear. Here we go, we're going to shift through the gears to make sure that it's shifting properly. What you got to do is you got to go all the way to the top gear, or it's actually the bottom gear on the top. And as you can see, this one's, as you can see, it came off the top cog, or the top sprocket on the freewheel, which is the lowest gear. So we've got to adjust the low set screw on the derailleur so it does not fall off of the freewheel on the back side. So go ahead and shift it back. And what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and shift it all the way to where it gets on that gear. And then we'll tighten up the low set screw. It says L by it. We'll tighten it up until we meet resistance. All right, let's try that. So we tighten it up. We want to make sure that it's still okay. So we need to loosen it just a hair so it doesn't fall off that top sprocket, just a hair. All right, that's where we want it, and that way it won't fall off the back side of the freewheel. And then let's make sure we're good on the highest gear or the low side of the freewheel. So on this H one, it needs to be tightened up as well. The highest set screw needs to be tightened up. Okay, so let's go through the gears. Right now it's in the highest gear, which is the lowest sprocket, or the smallest sprocket. And as we shift up, you can see it shifting to lower gears, or larger sprockets. And then it should not shift past that top sprocket, which is the lowest gear, the largest sprocket, also the top sprocket, lowest gear. I'm pushing the shifter as hard as I can right now, and it's not coming off. But at the same time, it is going to that lowest gear. So that means we'll be able to go through all 7 gears. Okay, now we're going to go from the top sprocket, which is the lowest gear, down to the highest gear, which is the smallest sprocket. And we're going to make sure it shifts through all the gears. Okay, and it does. Do it one more time. Okay, as you can see, it's not shifting down to the largest or the smallest sprocket, which is the highest gear. So we'll just loosen it a hair. And there we go. We have it. Now it's shifted down. Okay, and also we don't want to forget to put on the ferrule end cap onto our shifter cable. Just put it on the cable like so, and then crimp it with a pair of clines or a pair of pliers of some kind. And there we go. All right, you guys, the last thing you want to do is take out all the slack from the gear cable leading to the rear derailleur. As you can see, this cable's got quite a bit of slack, and we would like to get it nice and taut, and that way it stays, it shifts better, and the shifter will engage immediately when you move the gear shifter lever. So what we'll do is we'll come back here, and right here is the barrel adjuster. So just unscrew the barrel adjuster. If it's screwed all the way in already, unscrew the barrel adjuster, and that will actually tighten up the shifter cable. Just unscrew it just a little bit, and now we can test our cable. We can tighten it up just a little bit more, loosen up just a hair more. And that's good. That's pretty taut. So that's what the barrel adjuster's for. The other way to do that would just simply be to loosen up the clamp, pull the cable as tight as you can pull it, and then re-clamp it using this nut right here on the derailleur. All right, you guys, that's how you install a rear derailleur on a bike. We took off the chain, took off the wheel, took off the old derailleur, put a new derailleur on, refed the chain, connected the chain, and we also reattached the brake line at the end. We adjusted the derailleur at the end so that we can go through all gears without the chain falling off the rear freewheel. And after that, it's ready for a ride. And just thank you for watching this video. I hope it was very helpful. Hope you learned something. If you have any questions, please comment in the comment section down below. Thanks to all my family, affiliates, and friends. God bless you guys. See you in the next one.